Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk Animals. I have a guest tonight who is Ginger Krantz. I did say Krantz, right? Didn't I? And she is from Earth Horse Healing. So, Ginger, well, let's get some information out first of all. Just repeat your name, your company, and your website, and a phone number.
Sure. It's Ginger Krantz. My company is Earth Horse Healing, and my website's the same address, Earth, like the planet, horse, like the animal we all love, and healing, which brings us all together. So,
and a phone number they can contact you at.
oh, yes, feel free to call me at 609-276-9766. Or you can contact me through my website. There's a contact page.
I did see that.
Yeah.
Yes. And Ginger drove almost 2 hours
Well,
from here to get back home.
Yes, I'm down in South Central Jersey, but I was working on some horses on the way up, so I actually came from.
It's always nice when you're working on your way to an appointment and an interview.
Right.
You can always, you make some money, and then you get up there, and then you just gotta go. Oh my gosh, I got that 2-hour drive home.
Yeah, I was over near the horse park, so.
Well, that's not too bad.
It broke
from
it
here.
up pretty well.
It usually does. Horse Park is nice. It's a pretty place. I've shown over there for quite a while. Haven't been there in a while. But all right, let's enough of that Horse Park and all that stuff, and the 2-hour drive. I don't want you to, sit there and look at me and go, "Oh my God, I gotta go 2 hours." But anyway,
No,
I really
fine.
feel honored that you came up here and let's
Thank
talk.
you.
So why Earth Horse Healing? What is the Earth part of it?
Well, the earth is what grounds us all and really brings us all together. I was very involved in healing after going through the 4-year program at the Barbara Brennan School of Healing, International School of Healing, and teaching there. But I felt like I needed to take my studies deeper, and then actually what brought me to New Jersey is I studied with Tom Brown Jr. And I studied survival and living close to the earth.
So did you go out on any survival treks and build your own little tents and supports?
Debris hut.
Yeah.
Not so much treks, but I learned how to do those skills, and extremely valuable. Really changed me as a person, made me feel a lot more comfortable on the earth. I was able to finally have earth feel more like home, as opposed to being frightened by a lot of aspects of living on this planet. I was much more ungrounded back then. The presence of becoming grounded in my body has been a journey for me.
Okay.
So that was a big piece of it.
That's hard. Well, I can understand that, but I was raised with my dad, who was an outdoorsman, who was a hunter, and we lived in the woods. On weekends we were always in the woods, and we were always tracking something, or
Wonderful.
we were, fending for us. We didn't spend the night out there because I was little. So I learned from a very young age to appreciate the earth, to, I don't want to say worship it, but understand her to a point, just like Mother Nature. We can't control it, so you kind of go with it. And I'm very, very connected to earth, trees, animals, I think, and that brings me back to my dad, and I really think that's why I am. But so I can understand you wanting to go if you were afraid to go for these survival skills. It really does open your eyes to what's going on in the world.
I was raised with a lot of fear, in the household I grew up in. So I have had to work with that and overcome that. I think that's also helped me understand horses a lot. I had very much the fight or flight survival instinct very deeply.
Very much like a
ingrained in
horse.
me. Right. But I also feel that the earth and learning the very basic survival skills of our ancestors, and the shamanic skills really helped me understand the horses better too, because they are, master survivalists.
Oh, they are.
And for me, the journey as a healer is really finding the way back to that place where a lot of our indigenous ancestors lived, with that consciousness that's close to the earth.
Right.
That has the ability to understand the things that aren't said and the things that aren't logically known, right?
Right.
The world that the horses live in, the herd consciousness.
Right. It is.
And we find that in my classes, when you start working with a group and I'm teaching and we're working with the horses, there can be a whole consciousness that comes up and an understanding where people really start to feel what's going on with the horses and get an experience of that, which is part of what I want them to experience, to really know that.
How to read their body. Is that what you're talking about?
Their spirit,
more?
their
Yeah.
mind, and when they're together, their relationships to each other, and then the relationships to the people, so we all become one consciousness.
Interesting.
It really had a really interesting workshop that at one point where people were working on many horses simultaneously, and nearly every, or maybe every horse human combination, the horse came up with a digestive issue, which was really interesting, which is an example of that consciousness. There was something greater going on there in terms of those horses and the people, and what needed to be brought to the light at that time.
Wow, that almost sounds like it's a stress-related issue when you're talking about digestion.
Right. Well, that's it's a point where a lot of horses hold a lot of their stress.
So do a lot of people, for that matter.
But healing's very good for that. Helps horses that, put on weight that need to put on weight,
Right.
or lose it that need to lose it. It just helps them balance, so their digestive systems are.
So before we get into
healthy.
too deep of this conversation, let's talk about the energy healing and what you do. And it is not Reiki.
Well, no. I mean, I haven't been trained in Reiki. I was trained at the Barbara Brennan School. When Barbara was a NASA physicist, so I had a real scientific sort of oriented training in terms of psychology and science. She wanted things to be very, very. She wanted to build a sense of reliability. Not reliability. What's the word I'm looking for? Integrity.
Okay.
Make that really clear in terms of healing. She always would speak to how in England it's accepted, and in this country, I mean, you're talking 25 years ago,
Right.
I started this. So trying to get people to really understand that it can be grounded and based on science. So I went from that, to the Tracker School, which had the shamanic aspect of it, brought in the I don't even know how to put that into words, quite frankly. The whole visionary process of it, even though Barbara was clairvoyant, the whole, I did several vision quests. I've done vision quests, and just living the walk on the earth of the shaman. I'm really not quite sure how to say that further beyond that.
That's okay. I think you have to probably go through some of those courses in order to understand it even better for another person. Then, well, I'm sure when you do your courses, and yes, she does give courses in this, and we'll get to that toward the end of the show. But you probably would have to be in one of your weekend courses, or they are weekends, right? Just weekends, or do you do week long as well?
No, I'd love to do week long courses. I just at some point that would be my intention.
So for now,
Absolutely,
they're just weekends.
They're weekends
And you
because that seems to be
yeah.
the easiest for people. Yeah, I've been teaching here in New Jersey for, I guess 6 years now. I'm starting to have people that are wanting to come from around the country. So it would
that's
be
good.
much better if I could do longer courses, but I'm not known enough that I can really fill a week-long course.
Yeah,
But,
and then people have to give up a week of
hopefully-
working, like me.
Hopefully I'd love to, because I'd love to have a much more structured, there's a lot I have
Right,
to
right.
teach. There's a lot I could teach that it could go on to be an extensive course with a certification, which people are asking me for. I'm just not there yet.
Well, that's okay. I mean, certifications are always good, but even certificates are just as
They're just a piece
viable
of paper.
today. Yeah.
But they're just a piece of paper in a way, too.
Well, that's true, but it also gives someone that little bit of I did it. I did take this course. I mean, I take a lot of courses just for the certificate, not for the certification, but just for a certificate.
Yeah.
Saying, I did it, okay, I can still use it. I can still put it on LinkedIn, Facebook, I can put it in a lot of places. But a lot of those courses, too, I took were more for me, not for my business, to get me back and centered and grounded. And
Well, I think that the classes, the healing classes, are the same thing. I mean,
Right.
that's why the introductory is called Healing with
Right.
Horses, because it's really indivisible.
you're
You
healing
know-
the person and the horse at the same time, or the horse is helping the person heal.
Well, in order to help the horse, you have to be in a place
Right.
where you can help the horse. So for instance, the first class, I'm teaching people how to have faith in energy, how to experience it, and then once they're in that place and they're grounded and centered within themselves, and then we go to the horses, right?
Right.
So there
Okay.
is the whole aspect where your body is a tool, your body is a sounding board, and you have to be present, you have to be centered and grounded.
You have to
and
be in the moment.
prepared. Right. You just don't approach the animal.
Right. You can't be yesterday, and you can't be tomorrow, and you can't worry about what happened to yourself 5 years ago. I know in any kind of healing, you have to be there. You
Right.
can't be in another place
Right.
because you don't help anybody.
Right, but and as you're learning that process, you go other places all the time.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's really about learning how to get back, what your tools are to come back, and teaching
Sounds interesting.
exercises so people can strengthen that on a daily basis. if they
That's
choose.
really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what type of energy is it that you use? Is it a spiritual energy? Is it
The
is it
energy of the earth,
just, okay?
the energy that surrounds us, the spirit that moves through all things. The energy of the horse itself, you're working, it's all a dynamic interchange, energy, right? As the work
Well,
you
a lot
do,
of people,
energy's always.
right, it's always going, and a
moving.
lot of people don't understand that we are all energy.
Mm-hmm.
And energy, I don't know how to put it either, like goes around us. We're in this, I don't want to say a bubble, but not only do we emit energy and animals emit energy, well, we're all mammals, we're all, God's creatures, basically. So we all have the same type of thing. A lot of people don't understand that they have the same energy that we do, and some people don't even realize that we have energy that we give out.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's, historically there are, have been in spiritual artwork for many different types of religions. They show the mandala, which is, Barbara always said, well, that's the she defines as the definitions of the seventh level of energy that emulates from the body, having 7 levels. And so that is the definitive edge of that, even though we're like a flame of a candle, and even though you can sort of define an end where that energy starts to no longer be your energy.
Okay.
We also are like a flame of a candle in that we emulate light, and it's continuous. It goes
Okay.
off infinitely. Okay, so there's always that distinction that we have energy contained within us, inside our bodies. Then there's the energy that extends beyond us, sort of our own mandala, shaped sort of like an almond, right?
Right.
And that actually goes below the surface of the earth or wherever you're standing,
Right.
right? But then it does also go continually, right?
Right. Makes
And
sense.
that's also being reflected in science with a lot of the things they're discovering, right?
There's a lot of things coming up in science lately that are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Just amazing.
So when we work
And
with horses, is it all right?
Yes,
Okay.
keep going.
When we work with horses, I remind my students about this. It's really important because the energy field around a horse is quite large, right? Because they're physically large animals, okay? So when we're standing near them, we're in that energy field. Or when we're riding them, we are in that energy field, okay? And I'm talking again about
Right.
that. Some people call it a bubble, that energy that's closest to their body that's still sort of defined as part of them intimately. And so when a horse is fearful, or a horse is loving, that just engulfs us, right?
Right.
Those feelings engulf us. And that's why it's so important to be grounded and centered, as a rider,
Right.
And if your horse gets frightened, you need to just
You
remain in
you do.
balance and make that distinction that that's their fear. So you have to be confident in that situation. So it's the same thing as a healer.
Okay.
When you're working with a horse, you have to be clear and grounded. So when that horse starts to go into some past trauma, if they have PTSD or something, or you go into some not become shocky, but start to process shock, you need to be able to experience that fully through your whole body as a resonance field and stay present, clear, working with the animal on the conscious level of what is here now as the present reality so that they can make choices, different choices, and also not, you're always guiding them that they can go in there. This is where the shamanic piece comes in. You're walking that journey with them of the trauma,
Okay.
but you're always reminding them that you're here, in
Now,
the
are you-
present reality, right?
Are you physically walking them at that point,
No,
or you're just
no.
walking them spiritually?
I'm using that as a metaphor. Okay.
Right.
So you're with them, intimately engaged in that trauma or past experience or that pain,
Right.
You know, and you're also communicating with them silently in that language, you know, that is beyond words, that it's okay and that it's going to feel better on the other side, and you're giving them the strength and comfort to go through that without resistance, you know. You know, that's part of the process, teaching them to how to move through and let go of their history.
Just like people.
Yes, just like people. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and horses do have a past.
Yes, and they're all individuals, right? Just like all of us.
Oh, yeah. Very much so. So let me give you a question.
Okay.
Or a little bit of a scenario. Okay, a young horse,
Mm-hmm.
just getting his first few rides, goes through it really nice. Everything seems to be going good. All of a sudden, somebody puts something out in their pasture or in their ring or outside of it. It's never been there before. This horse just goes, whoa. And they will. Sometimes a certain horse will just explode. Now, is there something that's inside that young horse already that's now just starting to come out, or would this be something that's new to him, that it's normal for him to react that way? And would energy healing, if it was in the past, would energy healing help him?
Well, that's really, I'm sorry, but that's very difficult for me to
Okay,
respond
I'm
to
sorry.
because it's a fabricated situation.
Right.
Because
Right.
with healing, you have to understand you're dealing with exactly what's real.
Exactly. Well, true.
Okay, and
That's
the
true.
nuances. It might be all of the above, right? So you're dealing with those nuances and understanding that. So it's hard. I'm sorry, but it's really hard for me to answer that. But maybe on a deeper level, you're just wondering, how do you distinguish between the fear
Right.
in a young horse, maybe in a new situation, or whether they're being playful? Is that what maybe you're saying?
Well, it
Or-
could be that. Or now, is there something? So this is energy healing is new to me,
Mhm.
and I'd like to learn about it a little bit more. I think it's very interesting. Let's just say, let me put it to you this way then. Okay, if foal's being born, now does he have a past already once they're born?
Are you thinking like people talk about past lives? That kind of thing?
Well, yeah, kind of.
You know, I think of horses as, and all of the animals on this planet as being like children of the earth. You know, very close to the Creator or God, right? I think of them being quite innocent. So no, I don't think of them as coming in with a past, but I do feel that they will, like any mammal, be deeply influenced by what happens to them in their
True.
environment and the people that handle them, their mother, you know, their dam,
That's
their
true.
sire's not present right there, whatever.
Yeah.
All those factors, right, you know,
Right.
their situation, all
And their
influences,
handlers.
right, as
Yeah.
well as their hereditary factors,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Okay, that's interesting.
yeah. So all those
And-
things come into play, you know, and every animal is so different.
Oh, they sure are. Even in the same litter, when you have puppies, there are no two alike. So I
Right.
really, they're very much individual, just like we are, and I do believe that.
Yeah, and there's a place where a situation that will really affect one horse will not affect another horse so deeply.
Although that's true.
And you see that across breeds too, or certain breeds.
Oh, yeah,
right.
because I did a lot of training,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to have my kids when they were young, and then my grandson, when he was young, when we were getting the first. I never use the word break because I'm not breaking a horse's spirit. I'm training them. So if when I mean they're getting the first rides,
Right.
you know, it's their beginning of their training, and I would have my kids pop balloons and do all kinds of crazy things to these poor horses when they were so young. But you know what? When they got to a show, and if somebody popped open an umbrella because it started to drizzle right at ringside, or if kids were playing, or someone was screaming, or a horn went off, or it didn't faze them, because I would just keep riding them right through whatever it was, just with a nice low voice, and they would just keep going. It never bothered them. I mean, yes.
Bomb-proof them.
Well, kind of, but you know, nothing is ever bomb-proof.
Right.
I'm sorry, there's just nothing that's bomb-proof, because you never know in that day, in that situation, something just they may not be themselves. Just like people, you know, we have a bad day too. I believe animals have a bad day. Do they?
Mm-hmm. They can. Mm-hmm.
They have mood swings like we do as well, do you think?
It's a little different, I think.
Yeah, I just, from watching them all the time, that's the vision that I get from them, that, you know, they can have a bad day. And who knows, maybe they don't feel that great that day either. There could be some kind of an internal issue
Yeah,
going on.
well, yeah, I guess from my perspective, it's more that kind of thing, or maybe they've been vaccinated, so they're not feeling quite good from that.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe, you know, you don't know.
No.
You know,
So-
just a change in weather can affect them. You know, all sorts of things can change
Just like
that.
us.
But if you were originally, when you were talking about that question about the horse being ridden, if you're talking about fear and anxiety and whether healing helps that, absolutely. I mean, healing really can help so many things. I'm trying to think of what it can't help. It really does help horses reduce. I see a lot of anxious horses, especially thoroughbreds. They tend to have some serious anxiety sometimes. Some of the off-the-track ones, not all of them.
Not all of them,
Depends
no.
again
I've
on
had
the
a few of them
personality
off
and
the
the
tr-
horse,
yeah.
right? But it does help with that. Definitely helps them. Some of that can be pain-related, actually. A lot of horses I see that are anxious, it has to do with it's a pain response. So that can
Makes
be,
sense.
as the pain is reduced, that subsides
Yeah,
as
that
well.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And the pain could be anywhere on the body, especially if it's off the track. They could have a joint issue. They could even have a digestive issue because of the different feeds and all the garbage they were on there, and being stuck in a stall 23 hours a day. And those stalls are not very large on the track. Been there, they're not very large. So yeah, and then they get out for maybe an hour, 20 minutes on the track to exercise. They come back, they get hot walked for a few minutes and get shoved back in their stall. Not a great life. I'm not a fan of, it's a business and I understand that. I am not a fan of it. But I did own a couple, so bad me. And
Why
I probably
bad
will
you?
again. Well,
And people love thoroughbreds. If people get thoroughbreds off the track,
oh,
that are just wonderful
have.
horses.
Oh, I have.
and
I've made wonderful ones. I had one years ago, many years ago, when I was like 18.
So wonderful
off
you
the
to
track.
wonderful
No,
you to
off
take that
the
horse
track.
in, right?
He was off the track. He was great. He wound up winning everything.
Yeah.
He would win in pleasure. You'd put him in hunters. He'd win in hunters. You'd put him in equitation. You know, I was doing adult back then because I was 18. He was winning. Well, we were both winning in that one. I got to say that was half and half. But yeah, he was a great one. I've had a couple of them that I used to have a connection up in North Jersey. Racing business. He was a trainer, owner, whole 9 yards, and he'd call me up and say, I have this really nice mare, I have this nice stallion, you know, da-da-da. I said, well, the stallion I don't want unless you geld him. Because when you're boarding out, or 'cause I used to take a couple of stalls at a time, or I'd lease part of a barn. I said, you know, when there's 18 and under, you really can't have a stallion around. You know, they just don't. And the insurance they'll drop them, basically. But I took a lot of the mares, and they were really gentle. And the ones that were anxious, you know what I did? I threw them out in the field for 3 months. Just let them out in the field for 3 months. I mean, interacted every day, but no bridle, no saddle, no brushing, just have fun, be a horse, unwind. And it worked.
I would think
know,
so.
it worked.
I would think that would work for a horse.
I thought it brought it back to them being what they're supposed to be, being a horse and having fun.
Right.
And playing and grazing and being
acclimating
in the
to the
weather.
new home.
And it really did work. So now, what kind of the calls you get? What type are they? You know, I don't want to say. I don't want you to divulge too much information about your clients, but I'm curious on what people would call about.
Oh, wow. What don't they call about? I don't know. You know, just like
Well, I wanna
what I mean, a lot of it is really typical, what everybody has. You know, I get called, emergency calls for colic.
Oh, yeah.
I get, you know, because I work distance as well. I get calls for laminitis. I get calls for just chronic pain, a lot of chronic pain. I get calls for, people know their horse has been traumatized. They're not quite sure what it is, but
Right.
they sense that. So I get calls for things like that. I get called by people that just really care about their horse, and they know that there's something
Not quite right.
not right, that they can't, let's say, can't put their handle on it.
Right, and
Sometimes they'll
neither can the
say,
vet.
or the horse is resisting being ridden. You know,
Okay.
the horse is, you know, someone tries to get on him, and he's just, you know, the back gives way, or they're not wanting somebody to get on them. They're getting that
Yeah.
there's some signs there.
They don't want anybody encroaching in their personal space.
Right, and sometimes I get a horse that they've tried everything. They've tried the vet, they've tried the acupuncture, and they don't know where it's to turn. And they hear about me, and they'll call me. But generally, people that care about people, I love doing this because they're people that consider the horse family, pretty much. They just,
that's great.
They just want
And
the
they should.
best for the animal.
Yeah,
And it's wonderful because in the work I do, I also help the owners. I help them. This is what they reflect back to me, and I work with small animals too. So this is what people reflect back to me, is that it helps them understand the animal better. It helps them see. I help them see through the horse's eyes, or the dog, or the cat's eyes.
So you explain to the owner what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting.
Right. What's going on with the animal, and then I have a extensive intake form because I want a lot of background information, because that helps put the puzzle together. And I when I work with the horses, I require for the owner to be there, because there's a lot of questions as I go, and I'll say, this is what I'm feeling, and of course I'm a teacher. I'm always trying to educate too, you know, and I'm at the point I can do this work and talk at the same time. So the teacher's always there, and so I'm saying, this is what I'm finding here. Did anything happen to this stifle or hock or this or that? Or I'll stop and I'll say, wait a minute, let's walk this horse. Let's go look a little deeper in what's going on here to see how the horse is moving. And then sometimes people remember things that happened they hadn't put on the intake form, and then we can sort of put a picture together, and it's not about creating a story, it's not about having to find some story about some terrible history of this horse at all. It's really about just better unfolding what's going on, just so there's an understanding, so that there can be that compassionate heart connection to the horse can deepen, and there's a process that goes on too often as an owner. Like, I'm working with a horse and an owner starts sharing something that maybe they put in the intake form, and we're taking it deeper because I'm working with some of the symptomology from that, whether it was an issue with trauma I'm thinking about now, like where the speaking of it, and the going back might bring up something uncomfortable to the owner, but in that process, there's just a whole release in the body of the horse and in the owner, where that can be healed.
Okay.
So there's a whole process that happens, and that's not all the time. That's not the situation. I mean, every healing's different, and every horse is different, but there's just different things that come out of it. That's a spiritual aspect you were talking about. Like one woman who contacted me, all of a sudden this is coming to the fore in my mind. That the horse, she had gotten a rescue horse, and we just wanted me to come because the horse just wouldn't bond the way other horses had. She just couldn't figure out why the horse wouldn't bond, and a similar situation where we got into talking about the past, and she said, oh, I noticed the previous owner did this and this, and started to put the picture together and understand what had gone on and where the horse was now holding back from reconnecting with people. And we were able to break through that so that the horse could just let go and start connecting with the new person. So it really does help. I think the bond is integral with the healing process. With horses, many horses have been roughly handled in the past, and they can be the kindest of horses in doing their job, but there can still be a place, not all of them, but some of them where they were roughly or mishandled. And so helping them move through that and let go of that holding is really wonderful.
Now, do you actually communicate with the horse through this, or are you just putting the story together, or I don't know what's called really a story, because it's basically what happened, but just finding the pieces of the puzzle and putting the puzzle together so you can actually read that?
Yeah, but that's and the owner's helping me with that, because the thing when you're in spirit and you're doing at that kind of level, you can start to do a lot of projections. So I'm very careful, about what is clear and what I'm perceiving, and I don't really talk about things because, you don't want to start talking about something that's not grounded in the reality and what's happening in the body. So and like I said, it's not about creating a story because it's not about a poor horse thing, It's just about what's going to help us move beyond this limitation in this horse's body, in this horse's training, and this horse's relationship with the owner. What just unmasking it so it can come forth more powerfully and be gone, right?
That's interesting.
Does that help?
It does. So now, once you get your puzzle pieces together,
Mhm.
so to speak, and everybody's in the present moment,
Mm-hmm.
now how does this horse heal? I mean, do you do a hands-on energy transfer, or
Well, like when I'm present, I do hands-on. You
Mhm.
know, if it's over
Right.
the phone, I do
It's-
it. You know, I talk to the owner before, then I do the work, then we consult after about
Okay.
what transpired. But yes, I'm always dialoguing with the horse. I mean, it's constant, and you know, it's not words with the
right?
horse.
It's never because
it's
they don't speak our language. They do, but they don't.
it's feel, right?
Mhm.
It's feel.
It's the feeling.
It's the feel, and then sometimes it's images. You know, I'll get an image from them, or I'll give them an image. You know, it can also be visual.
Okay.
You know, I was working with a horse last week where she has really big trust issues with humans. You know,
Oh.
she was handled very, very not in a good way by someone. So, and she's a real delicate one because she's angry. You know, and she's got
and she
hatred.
can then be a dangerous horse around certain people.
Sure. So, but you know, horses tend to be good. They tend to hold that line.
They do.
They do their best to hold that line.
do.
But when I go in as a healer, I'm asking them, this is where we're going, you know, but I'm never forcing them because it's like, you have to be willing to go here. But she's, you know, can very aggressively say, no,
Right.
you know, and she's had a tough shell. So there was a point where I did an energetic move, not even physical, and you know, and she went at me as she has done, but the image of the person was right there, like she was projecting
Okay,
that on me,
yes,
right?
mhm.
She was seeing me as that person. That's the kind of thing. So then I work with them, and I just stay with that, and like make her realize like that's not me, right?
Right.
You know, that's not me. And I'll say that out loud to help, you know, you're not seeing me, you're not seeing your owner. You know, this is different, this is past. And I make those distinctions. And they're able to absorb that and move forward. You know, with a horse this wounded, it takes time. You know, it's a series of
I'm sure it
sessions,
does.
but they're able to comprehend things more than many people give them credit.
They can comprehend a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree
And
with
they
you.
can make
It's more-
choice.
Oh, they can definitely make a choice.
And they can make choice. And so I'm inviting the horse to be conscious of that, to own the responsibility, and to make the choice. So it's about timing. You know, it's about working with the energy, starting to put the picture together, and then when you have certain things come forward like that, working with the timing instead of being afraid of her.
Right,
That's
you're gonna
her fear,
stay
that's
there.
her aggression, that's her anger. Okay?
Right.
I'm staying right here, totally neutral. I'm not backing down.
Okay.
That's not me, right?
Right.
Okay?
Now I understand that. Yeah.
So it's a dance. You know, it's
It is.
similar to training a horse. You know, right?
Oh, yeah.
In a lot of ways. I mean,
It's a give and take, and you're not. You know, the horse has to give and has to take, and you have to give, but you don't want to back off. No, you
well,
can't
sometimes
show
I
your
back
fear.
off. In that
Well, but you-
particular
yeah.
case, I was not. I mean,
Yeah.
because it was time for her. I knew I had danced enough with her that I knew in that moment I could stand my ground, and you know, it wasn't one where I was going to say, okay, no, I'll let that be, and I'll work somewhere else on the body. That's the other nice thing about healing is because you're working with the body of the horse, you're working with the mind of the horse, and you're working with the spirit of the horse. So if something gets too much, their edge can't tolerate it. I just go work somewhere else in the body. Or if the horse is so has such a issue. I'm thinking of a couple cases. I'll just leave it general right now. The where they can't tolerate being touched, I just work off the body, right?
Okay.
Or in a case like that, where you know you're going to work on the body, but then the horse has the aggression, then you've got to go work with the mind. So I shift. You know, I go in. If one doorway closes, I work in the other.
Okay.
You know, it's like I'm literally moving around the horse and dancing with the different dimensions, right? I mean,
That
ultimately,
makes
all of
sense.
them come together.
Right. Which can take some time.
Well, no, it comes together
Oh.
time and time again as I'm working
Okay.
with them,
Oh, it
breakthrough after
does,
breakthrough
okay.
after breakthrough. But you know,
Okay. So
where do I need to go? Where is the doorway close? So I can go and maybe from the hip, I can get the connection to the brain, and we can open the area of the pulse, and then I go back to the head and deal with the issues. It's just sort of a whole. That wasn't really like. You know,
So little breakthroughs then are victories. and you can.
Well, there's big
basic-
breakthroughs too.
I'm
the
sure.
horse I came from, that I was working with today, he's a wonderful, wonderful story. I've worked with him. This is the third time I worked with him, but when the first time I saw him, his whole right eye was like sunken in,
Oh.
like way in, and that was you dancing the dance and trying to put the picture together,
Right.
and not knowing for sure, but he's off the track. I suspect he went down on the track because he's got trauma related to it, but it's not really like human related in terms of that,
Okay.
but he doesn't like to get energy coming into it because it brings back the trauma, right?
Right.
So, but each healing I've worked with him, the eye has come out more. It's just,
Wow.
just come back out and brightened.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so really miraculous things can happen. It makes you realize how many things that we see in the body, physical, can just change when the body's given the opportunity to release the trauma that initially created that injury or that block or that horses. I always say horses' conformation is not. It can change. It can change. I mean, people see it in training. And you can also see it, through the healing work.
Wow, interesting. Before we get too deep into this, let's talk about these courses that you're going to have coming up soon.
Oh, my glasses.
Your class, yeah.
Well,
These are interesting.
Yeah, let me see the dates. I have a class that's a introductory class before people go into any of the advanced classes, and that's the Healing with Horses, and that is April 23rd and 24th in Pemberton, New Jersey. And that's a 2-day workshop where I was talking a little about before, where you start with teaching people just how to perceive energy and be aware of it so they can really own it and understand that, yeah, this is real, because that's the first step, right?
Right.
You have to build the faith. And then I start some exercises where they start to feel into the body and be able to feel. And we work with people first, because then you have someone's feedback, they experience what it's like, and then you can experience doing it. And then by the afternoon, we go to the horses, and we just start working with the horses.
Now, that's a 2-day course.
That's a 2-day course, and people really find it transformational, because they come out feeling confident about the healing skills and that they can do this and they can apply it to their own horses, because everybody wants to take it home,
Well, of course. Now, what are the hours for these courses? They go 9 to 5?
9 till 4 or 5, it depends.
Okay.
It depends on how the day goes, and, because you're working with horses, so it just depends.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it does.
It's usually between 4 and 5.
And how many people do you take in each course?
Well, 12 max. 12 max.
Okay.
I won't take over 12 because I'm hands-on,
Right.
Somebody's working, I want to get in there and help them. I need to help them address their alignment so that they have the proper self-care to, and help them that way. And I like to, jump in there and ask them what's going on so that they can sort of loosen up and learn that they can have a dialogue and not to be so, don't get stuck in your own self that you're doing it and you're not doing it, or how should it be. I try to just get people to start to feel comfortable with it, right?
Right. Because I'm sure there are people going, am I getting it? Am I not getting it? What's real here? What's not real? Am I imagining that I'm getting it, or is this really happening? So I'm sure there's different feelings that you would get.
Yeah, a lot of
from
people's
that.
self-doubt is a big one,
Yeah.
Or they get the information, they just disregard it because that's how their brains work.
Yeah, well, that's the human part of us.
Yeah. So teaching them that that's normal,
Okay.
and then let's not disregard that. So what are you perceiving? Okay, and let me see, what am I perceiving? Oh, yeah, okay, and we can have a dialogue about that, right? Okay, what do you, put your hand there, or okay, or this is what I'm feeling here. Now put your hand here. What do you feel, right? And so
what do
learning-
you feel? Is it heat or just a different type of energy?
Well, it depends. I mean, if you're, it depends where you're feeling on the body
Okay.
and what's going on there, right?
True.
What I want people to do, one of the exercises we start with is you want to go in and drop into the body so you can go all the way through the body. You want to be able
Right.
to permeate the body, but you want to be able to control that. Like when I first start working with a horse. Now some horses, just touching their back maybe too much for them. Others, you can touch on the surface, and then you sort of have to work to the point where you can go deeper so that you can permeate the musculature of the back, and that can open and release. but the release has got to go all the way through the pole or through the tail, so that you don't your body's a tool and your energy's a tool, like how deep you're going through the body and where you're going. So that's why in these classes it's so wonderful to come together and have these kind of dialogues, because when you first go into this, a lot of people are afraid to go in, or other people just go in and then they don't know
Where
what
they
it
are.
is.
Okay.
So that's, I
Yeah.
have such a passion for helping somebody with that, helping them understand where they're at, because that's where I was, and people help me, find your
Yeah.
way in that new world, right?
That's
Where are
interesting.
you?
Yeah, that is very interesting, because
Yeah.
I do know when I do the massages, well, most of the time my eyes are closed anyway, and my clients are going, and they go, "Did you fall asleep?" No, I didn't fall asleep, because my hands feel where they need to go. And if there's an area that doesn't need to be really worked on that much, of course you still touch it and all that, and you do some of your techniques, but time is better spent in other areas where there's either an inflammation issue or a trauma issue, or they're just sore, or that's where their stress is. And so yeah, I'm going to have a lot of fun I'm going to try and get down there that first weekend for the introductory course,
24th, yeah.
because I can feel it from what I do, and the more I do it, the more I feel.
But I won't let you keep your eyes closed working on a horse.
No, not on a
Because
horse.
there's a safety issue.
Yes, so
okay?
we'll see
And
with dogs I can.
work, but you can work with your eyes open.
I just don't look at them.
Right, but you can work with your
Yeah,
eyes
eyes
open.
open.
And you'll find in time that it's wonderful to have the eyes open, because you want to track. You always want
Right,
to
you
track
do wanna
the
track.
animal. You want to watch
Yeah.
what's going on up there, and it's like I have the owners. Let me know if I'm shifting and I can't see the head, because you see the triggers in the head first. Like
Right.
if somebody's getting a little concerned, or if they're looking
right,
and
right.
chewing, yawning, whatever. So
Oh, yeah.
So it's nice to have the second set of eyes. So it's really important to have those eyes open, and that can be done if you get used to that. Have the discipline for that, because then you can watch the animal too, right?
Right.
And go down in, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to have to try that. Okay, now you have a number of different courses that you give. So let's talk about each course that you give, and I know
Well,
this is the
summer,
basic.
This is just for this is just coming up the next few months. I have I'm doing 2 advanced courses. I'm doing May 14th and 15th down at Hearts Therapeutic Riding Center. That's down in Egg Harbor Township. They do the therapeutic riding program. I'm doing equine awareness, communication, and healing. This is for people who have taken the intro. So we're going to do, get deeper into that awareness. Because like in the intro, they're learning to look at a horse,
Right.
how to see, how to perceive, and then to put their hands on them and then feel that from another dimension. In this class, we're going to take that deeper. Okay, we're really going to go into when you're first looking at the horse, starting to see beyond the physical. Starting to put the energetic, physical picture together more. Okay, taking that perception, okay? And that high sense perception, the senses that are beyond the physical.
Okay.
Okay, we touch into that in the first class, acknowledging the inner eye, the sight of the inner eye, the inner hearing, right?
Right.
The kinesthetic healing, which is
Right.
beyond the physical touch.
Exactly.
So this class will work on people understanding that aspect of themselves and which ones their primary sensing, and working with that some more with the horses. So that's part of that class, and that comes in, and then the communication is part of that. Then the dialogue on those levels and the healing, it all comes together. So it's really taking that first class and going deeper with the horses. Now the class, I'm so excited. I'm going back to Helping Hearts Equine Rescue over in Perrinville. I'm going back there again. Lisa Post has that fabulous rescue. It's fabulous rescue.
Yeah.
Horses. She took a lot of the horses out of Camelot. She's just amazing. And
We won't talk about Camelot.
Right. So it's Cranberry now. So I'm going to teach an interspecies understanding and healing class there. So she's got goats, she's got roosters, chickens, cats, dogs. I said goats. She's got everything there. Rabbits, guinea pigs. She also scoops up other things that she sees at auctions and whatever, and rehomes
Good
them.
for her.
So yes.
That's
so we're going to
great.
work with some of those animals. I'm so excited. Saturday we're going to work with just equines. She has donkeys, she has minis, she has mules, and she has horses. So but this is gonna be more, and this is again for people to do the intro, this is
Right.
gonna be more comparing. Like, we're gonna have fun, putting your hands on a horse and work on a horse and go to a mule, then go to your donkey. And
Yeah.
really start to get like what's common, what's different, and we're going to talk about that.
Oh, they're different.
So, and this
to a
is going to
point.
help people build, but it's going to help
Yeah.
people build their perception again, right? On a deeper
Yeah.
level.
That's interesting.
Having dialogues about what those differences are, and
Yeah, I had
as well
a-
as working the healing on the animals. Right?
I had a donkey with my horses,
Yeah?
and he was great when he was growing up. When he hit a certain age, he was like, yeah, guess what? It's like he changed.
Oh,
Well, he was still a jack, so.
I was going to say, he must have been.
Yeah, well, once we had him gelded in a couple of months, he kind of got back to his so-called normal self. But
Mhm.
donkeys to me are just fun. They're clowns.
Mm-hmm.
Just be careful once in a while,
Mm-hmm.
because they can turn.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, well, I had them for, I used to keep them with the younger ones.
With the younger ones, you
Yeah,
said?
with the younger horses,
Mhm.
just to keep them company, and,
Mhm.
especially when you're weaning.
Mm-hmm.
Because, babies want to go back to mama. Mama doesn't want them anymore, but the babies still want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they are different, but they're fun. They're
Mhm.
all fun. Now, are those all the courses that you teach, or are there more?
No, there's more. There's more on my website.
Yeah, there's a whole list on the
There's more
website.
on the website. This is what's scheduled for,
For the-
May and June. Yeah, that one at Helping Hearts is June 6th and 7th. That's a Monday, Tuesday. So, so that's a Monday, Tuesday class, and I know those dates will work for a lot of people. Prefer the weekdays. And the May 14th, 15th down at Hearts Therapeutic Riding Center is Saturday and Sunday for that equine awareness, communication, and healing.
Okay, now, this one is the first one, the intro.
Yes.
That's down in Egg Harbor.
No, that's
No?
in Pemberton.
Pemberton.
In the Company of Horses. Yep.
Okay.
That's April 23rd and 24th. There we're working with Miriam Brewer of In the Company of Horses does EGALA training with the horses. So these are horses
Okay,
that are,
yeah.
they're used
Yep,
for
I'm very familiar with the
equine
EGALA
assisted
training.
growth
Yep.
and learning. And those horses have had many workshops. So they just wait at the gate to get this work done on them. No kidding. They love it. So
I'm sure they do. Well, I've seen EGALA work
Mhm.
with horses and the people who need to be there.
Mhm.
I've also worked with
therapeutic.
the therapeutic riding,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I think these horses were just meant to do what they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and how they take care of these kids or adults that are either disabled or handicapped in some way, shape, or form.
And I work on therapeutic riding horses at different locations too, and some of them it doesn't work out for. They're just like people. Some
Yeah,
some
some
of them
things-
they don't have the
they don't have it.
temperament. It
Mm-mm.
doesn't work for them. So
No.
you know.
But some of them, I've seen them where they're just, oh, wow, the kids are here, or this one's here.
Mm.
Now,
Mhm.
I will say, some of them don't get along with some of the riders.
Mm-hmm.
But some, when they're matched up, oh,
Mhm.
what a match. And the kids laugh and they smile for the first time, or these adults are smiling for the
Mhm.
first time in we don't know how long, if ever. But yeah, I'm all really into all that stuff. It's just great things it's a great thing that animals do for us. So why shouldn't we give them some energy work and make them feel good? And
Well, that's how I feel about it. I mean, the horses are animals of service, right?
They are.
and
and they always have been.
and they're very forgiving,
True, not like
And-
people.
and they've been domesticated, and we've adapted them to our needs, and they continue to give, and they're masterful at surviving. Not only if we turn them out loose and in the wild, but they're also masterful at surviving within domestic situations. So I feel that they warrant our respect, our honoring, our care, and our love to the fullest degree we can give it. And the horses love the healing work. They love it. Sometimes, many times, it's the first time a horse has had a human fully penetrate their body and not have it be an act of aggression.
That's probably true.
Right. And then other horses, just the fact that somebody's comes to them with no agenda and only to help them
Right.
is they're just like blown away by it. That in itself, really, they're just like, wow.
Yeah, this is all so amazing.
Yeah.
I am going to have to try and rearrange my schedule. And because I think I would understand more even with what I do by taking at least the intro course and even maybe going on more. Because when I do feel an issue, I can get into it deeper, on a deeper level, not, I don't wanna say I'm
No
pushing my
force.
hand
No
through.
force. Right. Yeah.
Right.
But you're picking up an idea of
Yeah.
permeating and
Right.
moving through and right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially on like some of the older animals that don't really want to be, they're sore. Let's face it, they're older, they're, toward the end of their life here on Earth, basically. And they
Right.
do get sore. Their circulation slows down and everything is tender and achy. And this way you can actually be there, but not being, rough. I don't want to say rough, but you're not physically going in.
Right.
But you're like what, spiritually going in, basically? Is that it? Or just energy's going in?
Well, I don't want to imply there's too much force.
No, there's not.
Because so much of this is neutral, going
Right.
neutral. I mean, there's a place for moving energy, right? But
Right.
a lot of it is just, I wouldn't say a lot of it, but there's also a lot of neutrality in it. I sort of describe it as as being almost musical and harmonic. Like I go somewhere and I can feel what's stuck, what's lacking, where it's lacking, and I just sort of stay there till everything works itself out. But I have a sort of a holistic vision of what that part of the body is supposed to feel like and how the flow patterns are supposed to be, right?
Right.
And then you just allow that process to happen, essentially. Okay.
That sounds really good. Let's give your information out again in case people didn't get it at the beginning.
Okay.
Your name, company.
I'm Ginger Krantz. I guess maybe people are looking that way. I'm Ginger Krantz, and my company's called Earth Horse Healing, and my website is earthhorsehealing.com. And feel comfortable checking out the site. There's information about the Healing with Horses class and the upcoming classes. It's all there. Feel free to call me. Feel free to email me questions. I make myself available, and please join. Please join the Earth Horse Healing family and community. And I'd love to have you at a class. I have a great passion for teaching or help you with your horse if that's what you prefer. Or both. Some people like both. Whatever.
Terrific. That's really good.
And I just want to add that I've given a few examples here, but I think it's really important. And there's testimonials on my website. It's inviting people to put aside their concepts of what's possible and have faith in the possibility that energy healing can really be effective and make a profound difference to your horse and to you and to your life.
Did you ever
because
work on
it
people?
can. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
So it can be a owner pet combo.
Yes, it could be, I guess.
And sometimes it probably is needed.
Right, sometimes it is needed. And also, people are so close to their animals. That you help their animal, it helps them. Whether I'm
Right.
directly at some point, putting my hand on them to help them, or they ask me sometimes. It's your relationship with your horse is intimate.
Your relationship with any animal is intimate.
Right.
And whatever you're carrying inside your body goes right to the pet. Like if you're stressed and anxious and nervous and you've got all this crazy negative energy flowing all over you, your pet will pick up on it. Your horse, your dog will pick up.
Right.
So yes, you can get, hey, pet and owner. And you can both be great and
Right.
centered and balanced.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And which is basically what you're trying to do, is get to that neutral balance of emotions and energy, if I'm saying that correctly. I mean, I know emotions have a lot to do with our energy. I know in my own way, and we won't get into that here, certain things in our life affect our energy levels.
Right, right, and they're going to, but it's just important to be aware of it
Yeah.
and have tools to find, because when you go to your horse, you go to ride your horse, you want to be prepared.
Oh,
You
yeah.
want to be centered, you want to be grounded, you want to be listening, and you want to be having that
you don't
intimate
wanna carry-
connection that's
Yeah, you
Right.
don't want to carry that baggage when you're riding, or when you're working with any animal for that matter.
right. And I think it's also challenging when it's your horse because you have that relationship. It's hard sometimes to not have an agenda, you know, especially if you want to ride them and things like that. So that's where it's helpful to have a third party like myself come in who can be the one who doesn't have the agenda and come in and
Right.
see and work and help with the animal and help
Right.
you with what's going on if you want that too, right? Just in terms of
Right.
the relationship, because when we're close to our animals, it can be really, it's like family. It can be really hard to step back.
I agree, but I
Mm-hmm.
think animals also read us. I know my pup does when I'm, stressed like to the hilt and I want to just cry.
Mm-hmm.
But that's when I go to put my earphones in and just meditate for a half hour or 20 minutes. Then I come out of it and I'm a lot more centered and a lot more relaxed, and she's a lot more relaxed.
Right, right.
I think I'm going to take the earphones out and just play the music, let everything play with her sitting there with me. It may even, music sometimes does calm that savage beast. But a lot of times I think they feed off of, not all the time, but if you have an anxious horse, and just correct me if I'm not correct here, or if I'm, way off in left field, and I'm known to be in left field a lot lately. If you have a tense horse,
Mm-hmm.
and you're tense and you're stressed, and every time you go see this tense horse, can't that tenseness then escalate to somebody possibly getting hurt in the future because the horse doesn't want to be around that, and then the owner's going to overreact on certain things?
When someone's tense, like a person, you go to your horse, they're going to feel that tension, and that could make them tense if they don't understand what's going on.
Right.
Is that going to make that horse not want to be around you? Horses don't tend to think that way. Horses tend to be very appreciative of their owners, and they know they're dependent on their owners, and they love their owners. So horses don't sort of make that calculated choice. Something may happen that would make them react to you, but they're not calculated. Like, I don't want to be around that person. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So-
I do understand a lot of it, and
Yeah.
sometimes I'm throwing just some crazy questions at you just to.
And certainly, if you were agitated and the animal was agitated, and it was a young animal, and you were both feeling that agitation, and you go by that thing in the field, it could magnify the response.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Right. Yes.
So
And
you
this is
have
where
that
the
where you
energy-
play off each other. So if you have that harmonic resonance where you're both vibrating and you're meeting each other's resonance. So if it's all anxious, you want to sort of bring it,
Right. So you'll teach people then to leave
To-
their baggage at the door, basically.
or just let the mother take
Yeah.
it. Just let
Yeah,
it go
let it
down
all
to
flow.
the earth. The
Yep.
mothers will just neutralize.
I am gonna try
all
and
that.
get down there that weekend. I'll have to
That
see you the next
energy.
week if I can register. Well, thank you, Ginger, so much for being my guest. It was really enlightening. I had a good time, and I'm really interested in learning more, because I think it might even help with what I do, and
Well-
centering me a little bit better. I think we all need that. To a point, we all need to be centered, and most of us aren't, even though we think we are. But I
Well-
really appreciate it, and it is Earth Horse Healing.
I just want to thank you, Kathy, for inviting me onto your show.
Yeah,
It's
and
just
thanks for this
wonderful.
too. You poor thing, you have to drive 2 hours.
Oh no, it's all right. Don't worry about that.
But
That's all
it's
right.
great.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here and to share with these people, and hopefully some
Well,
people
great.
will find a way and a need, and we'll
Absolutely.
build this community of healing in horses, right?
Terrific. Well, thank you everyone for listening.
Yes, thank you.
And catch us next week, Monday night at 6 o'clock. And we're out, I think.